Today we're going to make some handles for our cabinet. So if you remember a little while ago, I upcycled a cabinet that we're going to be using for a vanity for our second bathroom, and so I stripped it back, I bleached it, and now we're going to be making some handles for it. So I checked the price of handles and I was not going to pay that, so I decided to make my own. So I bought this project is a sanding block so we can sand down our dowels. We're going to need some dowel. I've picked up all these materials from Bunnings. We needed a T, a plumbing copper T-shape. Now I've gone for a 20 mil for this project. Now for the closet doors, I'm actually going to go for a much larger, well, I say much larger, slightly larger. And then we also need a washer, which I'll share with you a little bit later, and some super glue. Now I'm actually going to be finishing the dowels with, I'm going to test out this varnish by Feast Watson. It is liming white. It just gives it a really light white tint. I'm just going to do one coat. I don't want it to go white. I just want it to have a little bit of, little tiny bit of a lighten up. And I'm going to test this on the cabinet as well to see if that goes. And let's get making. So first thing I'm going to do is sand it back. I'm satisfied that it's nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and just wipe it down with a sugar soap wipe. The Feast Watson liming white. Okay, I'll just show you this. It also doesn't yellow, which is one of the reasons. I'm going to give it a really good stir. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and cut all of my pieces for my handles. You'll have to, now I used a large saw, however you could use a jigsaw and you can use a handheld saw, but this was what we had to hand today because Derek had taken the other tools to another job. So, so what I've done is I've cut one which is 250 mil, which is our center pole. I'm actually just going to make the first handle because if they don't turn out, I don't want to go ahead and cut all the wood and then waste it all. And then I've cut two 40 mil pieces, which will be the ends of the pull. And then I've gone ahead and cut two 10 mil pieces, which will go in the center, and we'll have a washer and a pre-drill there for our, to attach it to the cabinet. So let's go ahead and let's put it all together. Now I have all of my pieces. I want to go ahead and assemble my cabinet pull. First thing I want to do is just sand off all of the edges. So these little pieces aren't actually going to get seen, so we don't need to be too worried about that. Just want to get off the rough edges. And then the same with the long piece. It's not actually going to get seen. So what we want to do now is measure. So I've just put a little mark each of the where I want to stop with the pull. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some liquid nails. I'm going to be using liquid nails to, first thing I want to do is I'm actually going to put some rubber gloves on because I got my nails done. So I don't want to ruin my nails. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip. Just going to put a little bit more in for good measure. I don't know that you actually need that much though. Okay, now put that there for a minute. Now I just want to wipe off the excess. Okay, and I'm just going to put in my first one. So it's nice and snug, picking the nicest side for the outside. Okay. Then I'm just going to push it in until I get to, aha. So I've measured this rod for 250. The problem is the interior of the T has a lip, meaning that it only goes as far as the interior, so as the side, so up to here. So it means I'm going to need to cut some of this off to make it work. So I'm just going to go and do that now. Okay, so based on the measurements of my drawers, I've taken 16 mil off the end, and I've just quickly gone out to the drawer and measured it up. And before I glue it, because I want to make sure obviously it fits, and it does fit, so that's great. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and glue this piece in. Okay. Make sure it's going the right way. Make sure it's straight. And then just make sure that these are even. And that is almost there. So now we're just going to put, I had 2 ends cut at 40 mil each. And so I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with the ends. Pick the smoothest end. Okay, so they are the exact size, so I'm just going to sit them on either side here. Glue them in. Okay. Gonna push that in as far as it will go, and the lip will stop it, and then I'll go ahead and do the other side. So now we have this part of our pull. So this part of the cabinet will be where I will pre-drill and attach it to the cabinet. So I'm just going to squeeze in a generous amount of liquid nails. Then I'm going to push in . Oh, I might have put too much. Here are my 2 pieces of wood for my single cabinet pull. So let's go make it. Okay, so I have my material for my smaller pull. So what I'm going to do is I've just quickly sanded off the top. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to round these out or not. So I'm going to make them first and see what they look like and then decide. And then this bit is the piece obviously that will be pre-drilling. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to, I just like to get the mess off of it. And then we're just going to assemble them the exact same way that we did the last one. Okay, so we're just going to start by putting our liquid nails in, like we did with the larger pull. A little bit more on that one. Make sure it's really nice coverage. So my handles are finished and I'm absolutely delighted with how they turned out. They were about, I was looking at a similar size handle on Etsy and they're about $40 to $50 per pull, which was just way out of the budget. So, and I really wasn't exactly what I wanted. So making it was a perfect solution for that. So my next step is to go ahead and pre-drill the holes, because this is what will fix them to the cabinet. However, I have a little bit of work left to do on the cabinet. I also need to buy and measure up for the screws that will attach these to the cabinet. So I want to make sure that I don't oversize the holes. So that will be in part 3. So make sure to subscribe and follow along for the next step.